Alright, Junior. Thank you very much for joining me on this podcast thing.
Oh, no worries, brother.
We're out in Barca for our good mate Jeray's stag do. The less said about that, the better. I don't think we can commit too much to video. But as I've suggested before, I've been doing a video podcast series talking to friends and family about life in East London and the East London area. As you know, I've lived in East London all my life, been to school in East London, some a little bit further out than others. But yeah, we've been in East London, and one thing that I thought was missing was capturing the stories of my friends and family, understanding their lives, going into some of their thoughts as well about the future in the East London area. So I know you do a lot of things in the area, community, school, the arts and culture, like, you know, you do a lot for the area, so we've got a lot to talk about. So maybe you want to start off by introducing yourself.
Okay, my name's Alonso Jr., as many may know me. Also, I'll go by Will as well, that's my artist name. I make music and I also put on live music events. Outside of the events and fundraising events, also work in a school and children's residential care home as well.
And you've also spent most of your life, all of your life around East London as well.
Most of it, Ilford specifically, where I spent most of my years. Leighton Orient as well, so supporting the local East London football team. Just gained promotion, congratulations. Thank you. I wasn't on the pitch, but thanks.
No, but you did your bit, turning up every. I think you're a season ticket holder, or
no. Just been to a couple games.
Couple games. Yeah. Cool. How did you rate your chances in League One now? Is it going to be tough, or?
It will be a different pace, but I've seen Ipswich play a few games League One, and I feel that Leighton Orient got what it takes. Cool.
All right. You spoke about a few things that you do. School, child's residential care home. Maybe we could start off with those things. Could you just explain for the childcare residential home? What's that like? How does it work? Is it foster home or?
Yeah. So basically, they're not legitly called foster homes anymore. They're called children's residential care homes. The one that I work in is a semi-independent, so that's young people aged 16 to 18. We're preparing them for independent living, so teaching them life skills, how to budget money, do their laundry, just regular upkeep, so that when they are 18 and placed in their own provision, they would be able to manage with the skills that we've given them, like doing laundry, etc. So
Cool. Sorry, I get really paranoid about my recording. I'm not sure if it's actually on. I just want to double check it is.
Alright, cool, nice one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
For the budget production, so just gotta make sure. Wow. That's probably tough on a number of levels, because you're probably dealing with people with troubled or challenging backgrounds. Or?
Yeah, there's quite a few traumatic experiences that some of them have had. Some of them are unaccompanied minors, so have come into the country not necessarily legally, but fleeing war in their own countries, and basically safety and security, which fortunately we are able to offer here. Seeking asylum and that, but also some with either quite aggressive or abusive past and upbringings. So for their own safety and for the safety of others, they've been removed from their family's care and are placed under local authority care.
Yeah, and I think it was in the story recently about unaccompanied minors, and there's some right-wing commentators talking about using scientific and other methods to check people's ages, so that they can obviously there's different ways that you look after minors and adults. How do you think about that whole verifying someone's age when they're an asylum seeker coming in?
There is definitely a safeguarding element to it. So for example, if somebody is claiming that they are 15 or 14, and they are placed in a school, just say maybe, and they might get a girlfriend that is the same age as them, and it turns out once the age assessment has been done, they're actually 24 or 27 years old. That is a big safeguarding risk. So we have a duty of care to basically ensure that things are appropriate and surroundings are appropriate, because where we may be protecting one person, we may also be putting somebody else at risk. So it is very kind of tricky ground to navigate, but it is still important as well.
Yeah, and I suppose, like, there's loads of things in life that are tricky to navigate, but it's the language and the ethos and the energy within which you approach it. Because again, I've seen some commentators talking about it, like, do bone density analysis and all this kind of age assessment stuff, and it almost treats the person like they're not a human, like they're a thing to be assessed.
It's very tricky how to get around it. I know some of them may have negative motives as to why they want that done, and it might be they just don't want a certain type of people entering the country. But beyond that, like, there is also underlying truth to some of their methods, like example of the safeguarding one I've given. But if not for that, it's very techie. It's very techie, like levels and levels above me. How that will get dealt with or navigated.
But it's interesting. I think you are seeing the end of that, and we're joking a little bit about it. We were talking about earlier when we were on the beach earlier about like migrants coming over, because we saw some pictures of that. So like this is a bit of a divergence. We've got the migrant crisis. We've got some people coming in. And then at the end, when they're housed in places, that's kind of what you're dealing with. So if you could just speak a little bit more about that and like the social cohesion, like, are there challenges like getting them to like settle in a place like East London, or it's a bit easier because East London's like multicultural? And
well, there are benefits of being multicultural, like some of the languages that may be spoken by them, especially if they don't speak any English at all. It is easier for them to get interpreters, where there are people that will speak Pashto or any of the languages that are their home languages. So there is that support in place. It's not the easiest, but I suppose it's easier than maybe other parts of the world or other parts of the country that are not as multicultural as London is. East London, South London, West London specifically, are very heavily multicultural. Like, for example, there are some hospitals that we can go to in East London, and the ward names and directions will be in 3 languages, English being one of them, but 2 other languages which are part of their what's the word?
Reflecting the local community.
Reflecting the local community, the language that is most common across those boroughs. So Tower Hamlets, Southall, which I believe Southall's West London, not East London. Yeah. So it does allow to be accessible to other communities, like healthcare and things that are just so important and so vital.
Yeah. Nice one. And maybe like speaking a bit more about the passion to be like what got you in there in the first place. Because again, it's a tricky cohort of clients to look after, but what got you interested in the first place, and what keeps you there?
In the first place, I believe when I actually left uni, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I was working in retail at first, but I was supporting in a local youth club, in a local church youth group as well, and someone gave me an opportunity to volunteer for them because they were a manager at a young offenders department in the borough of Barking and Dagenham. So I was introduced into youth crime from early, and I just got into supporting with behaviour and stuff along that line. that's also where I started working in the care homes as well. That's how I got introduced to unaccompanied minors, because I was mainly specifically with behaviour and that beforehand. So yeah, it's been a journey, but it's been definitely eye-opening, because we do take for granted how comfortable we have it in the UK, and when we hear about what things people have had to get through just to get here for safety, it's like we wouldn't want any of our children, nephews, nieces to have that traumatic background. So we still got to do what we can to support them.
Yeah, nice. And what keeps you in it? Is it like rewarding, kind of seeing the progress you can make with some of the kids and that?
Like, it's not the money. I'll let you know that for free, because the money definitely isn't enough for the level of work that is actually done, but it is important work, and it is life-changing work. If you see someone's journey from maybe the time that they move in to maybe 8 months down the line, a year and a half down the line, when they've been with us, you see how fluent they become in English, how it boosts their confidence, that they're able to do courses in college, whereas when they first came, they couldn't speak a word of English at all. And also, not just with the unaccompanied minors, but also in regards to behaviour and well-being, where someone may have been brought up abusive and with a lack of boundaries, and the time that you've been supporting them and working alongside them, they've developed not just how to honour other people's boundaries, but boundaries to protect themselves as well. There are multi-agencies to thank for that. It's not only the care homes, it's also the yacht workers, CAMS, social services.
CAMS being children and mental services.
Children and adolescents mental health services. But I know social workers do get a lot of stick, but with the amount of cases that they have, it's almost impossible to commit an appropriate amount of hours to each of their residents or young people per week and make much of a difference. But with what they're given, they do a fair amount. So I think we do owe them credit as well, because sometimes they're the go-between that gets all the other agencies together. They put things in place that where there wouldn't be support had they not have any involvement.
And can we talk about that a little bit more? Because as you know, I've got over 15 years experience in the NHS, and the NHS is kind of where I understand health policy, and that's my kind of focus a lot. But social care, from your perspective, like as you say, gluing everything together, is there a lot more that could be done to support it? Is it the lack of understanding that people have, or
funding and also understanding? Because there is a lot of ignorance, not necessarily professionally, but more so in the community. So there are some people here that still face racism and discrimination based on their background, whether they're African, Caribbean, Asian, Eastern European, Middle Eastern, especially where there's a language barrier as well. They may face a lot of racism and discrimination. Also, when young people that may have gone through the justice system, like through young offenders, trying to turn their life around and be on a positive, it's almost as if they're not permitted a second chance by some, if that makes sense. And it's where we're trying to support them to engage positively, but opportunities aren't always there for them or accessible for them to be able to do so. It hinders them, and sometimes it is the discouragement that could be the nail in the coffin sometimes, and make somebody give up on their own potential.
That's deep.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't know if you agree, but I feel like it falls on us as a society
100%.
and the people we elect to make sure that there are opportunities for those people that make a mistake, because that's a weird reflection on us, that we're not willing to allow people second chances if they make a mistake and they've atoned for it.
Yeah, like even if you look at not just young people, but just the prison reform system is not really a reform system. People may come out with a criminal record and may be doing all the attempts they can to try and get back on the straight and narrow, and to make something of themselves, but because of the criminal record they have, it limits what they can become. Like, there are certain jobs which are understandable because you may need a DBS, a clear DBS, to do certain roles, but there are other roles which don't necessarily require a DBS, like maybe being a waiter or something in a restaurant, but the judgment is still there on you because
and then
you have a criminal record.
And then I've seen that as well. I've seen like hiring managers in the NHS, like in roles where you're not going to be patient facing at all. You're not going to be interacting with any data at all. There's no sensitivities, but they use that then to like discourage. And the double whammy is, unfortunately, there's a disproportionate amount of black and ethnic minorities who have that criminal record.
100%.
So
100%.
Switching gears a little bit now to the arts and culture. So your artist work, and I mean, I've known you for years, and it's been interesting to see your performing career, and then also like the transition you're doing now, or maybe have done or always had. You tell me, to like helping others find their talent and like showcase that as well. If you want to speak on that.
Well, One Love is a big passion of mine, big passion project of mine. Just to support other up-and-coming artists to come through, but also while we have that platform and the stage, because people will always want to come out and watch a music show, while we have that stage and that platform, use it to also raise awareness. So every once in a while, I do like to have a charity come down to share about the work that they're doing, whether it's a non-profit organisation or whether they require cash donations, or whether they require maybe people, like for the last one, ACLT, where they're signing up
the African
people,
Caribbean Leukemia Trust.
The African Caribbean Leukemia Trust, to sign up people to donate stem cells for people dealing with and living with blood cancers, and the testimony that was shared from a gentleman that has a rare form of blood cancer. He shared that it's not only the person that is receiving your blood or your stem cells that is getting another chance of life, it's their whole family, because you can I wouldn't want to imagine what it would be like to lose a parent or sibling. We've lost people close to us, but we know how heartbreaking it is to everybody connected to that person. So to give somebody an extra chance at life, or a healthier life, or better quality of life, you're giving their whole circle, their whole inner circle, their family, their loved ones, a chance at life, a better quality of life as well. Like, it gives people a lot of peace of mind knowing that someone that they care about is actually doing better. You know what I mean? So whether to raise awareness for charities, or to just do some life-saving deed or work, like signing up on a register, that's the easy bit. Going in, taking the needle, giving the blood, giving the stem cells. Every unit of blood that is donated saves up to 3 lives, and that could be someone going through labour or childbirth that may have given birth prematurely, or somebody who's been stabbed or shot or somebody who has, like myself, sickle cell, I'm a receiver of blood donation myself, or someone with a blood cancer, you're saving
there's a lot saving. So, and can we talk a little bit about your personal situation? So again, like, there's stuff I know from like the policy national level about the amount of funding that goes into different blood disorders that affects different communities, and we know sickle cell affects the African Caribbean community a lot. As a patient living with the condition, can you talk about how it feels at your end when, like, I don't know, do you ever compare to other like blood disorders and think, oh, these getting more attention? Or
there are big conversations about that. I do try not to entertain it for other reasons, but it isn't hard to miss the points that are being raised. Like, I prefer personally to try and do something that's solution based rather than complain and deaf ears that don't actually care. It makes no sense to me. It's just wasting my voice. So I'd rather I feel that there are things that could be done. So rather than saying because cancer affects everybody, there's so much attention on it, but because sickle cell mainly affects black people, there's very little attention and support on it. I try not to get involved in that, but I do try and get conversations going to help, because when it comes to this condition, there is no cure, but prevention is better than cure. So I like to get conversations going and get people thinking. So it's like, do you even know what your blood genotype is? Do you know if you have the sickle cell trait or not? You might not know, because if you have the trait, you don't suffer, you don't feel
you might just be a
symptoms.
carrier.
You're just carrying it. But what tends to happen is when people are pregnant, them and their partner then get tested, but by then it's too late because you're already pregnant. Like, the baby's already there in your belly, ready to come.
Do you mind if I just go back a couple of steps? You spoke about like looking to be solution orientated because you don't want it to fall on deaf ears. Deaf ears felt like two powerful words there. Do you mind expanding on what you mean by that? Is that like people at the top of health policy not necessarily listening?
100%. Like, some of the things that are being discussed in the community is the fact that sickle cell patients, we're actually born with a condition, we live with it, we die by it, and we don't choose to have it, but we still have to pay for our prescriptions for our medication, which we need to live and to survive. Whereas if somebody is a heroin addict or like becomes a heroin addict, they are given free medication to wean them off of it. But obviously when it comes to taking heroin or any form of drug on that level, it is
a lifestyle choice.
Argumentally a choice to do it, whereas for us it's not a choice. We're born with it, we're told we've got it, and this is what it's doing to us. So there are those kind of conversations happening and those comparisons happening, but again, nothing is being done about it. And here I am, 38 years of life, and my prescriptions are still not free. Like, you know what I mean? So things like that.
Forgive my ignorance, but like no subsidy? It's not subsidised? Crazy.
So there's that, but there's in regards to solution focused, something that I would really love to see is, you see how the NHS go into schools like year 9, year 10 to give every 14-year-old the BCG injection. I think what would be very important is to also give every black and sub-Saharan African child genotype blood test, so that way it is on their file and they don't, before they're supposed to be sexually active, and that way when they are dating or getting to know people, it can be a conversation that's had from early doors, rather than be surprised, oh, you're pregnant, by the way, your baby could have this because you have this trait and so does your partner. Like, it needs to be a conversation from early. They need to know that what they're carrying, and we do have the means to make that happen.
We definitely have the
because we are using those same means to do other things, but it's being overlooked.
Yeah,
And it shouldn't be overlooked. It is something that needs to be known from early doors, so that people are prepared for their future and can make choices to not only protect themselves, but to protect their future child.
That's interesting.
From
That's interesting.
suffering that doesn't need to happen.
Yeah.
If you have the knowledge,
Yeah.
you can prevent it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, look, man, I think it's getting a bit nippy and it's getting a bit darker.
Nice one, yeah.
But I really, really appreciate this conversation.
No, brother, it's all love.
Yeah, over and out from here, bro.
That's one. Blessings,
Safe,
man.
man.
Love, bro. Nice
Appreciate
one,
it.
nice one.
We're live now, so I'm gonna jump into the thing. Dean,
How you
thank you
doing,
for
bro?
touching this little thing with me. I'm good.
problem.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
We're here on our mutual friend's stag do.
Yes, we are.
The less said about that, the better.
You know, we're out here to have a good time, and that's all that matters, right?
That is all that matters. That is all that matters. So yeah, thank you for jumping on this video podcast thing for me.
No problem.
As I described a little bit earlier, it's about talking with my friends and family in East London. As you know, I've lived in East London, Stratford all my life, and I'm really interested in the area, the people of the area, you know, community, all different parts of the community. So perhaps we can start off by you introducing yourself,
Yeah.
what you do, and then we'll kind of have that conversation from there.
Okay, well, my name's Dean Foster. I'm 37 years old. I'm also a resident of East London. Lived there the majority of my life, although I have moved around to certain other parts of London, but predominantly I've been in the Walthamstow area, Chinkford as well. So Waltham Forest is basically the borough
Yeah.
that I'm known for. I've lived for most of my life, and I work for an investment bank. I do something called KYC, which means know your customer, know your client, and I've been doing that for like the last 10 years. And I've got 2 kids. I've got 2 boys. One's 15 and one's 7, Malachi and Marcel, and they're both amazing. And yeah, you know, that's it.
Good stuff. I mean, yeah, and we've known each other for years.
We have.
I think there's something, again for me, like not captured too much in media history about our lives and experiences in Stowe, in East London. Again, there's some of that stuff we can commit to camera, some we may not be able to, but let's touch on that a little bit. It's obviously a big question, but if you can, in a nutshell, summarise your experiences growing in Stowe, what was it like?
Walthamstow was like a hub for a lot of communities throughout East London, yeah, because of the Walthamstow Central bus stop. I think it was like a connecting place where, you know, you had lots of different schools that would usually come there at the end of the day, and it was a nice congregating sort of place, a nice melting pot to see different people around that period of time. Walthamstow, for me personally, is a lovely, vibrant area full of culture. It's quite a cosmopolitan mix as well, and obviously recently there's been like what's the word they call it again now?
Gentrification.
Yeah. There's been a bit of that as well, but the area's lovely. You know what I'm saying? I've lived there most of my life, and I like the improvements that they've made as well, because it's a nice area to be.
Can we touch on that a little bit? Because like, on one hand, regeneration is needed in some areas that have been like undeveloped, and like you know, things fall apart, so you need to regenerate your buildings and stuff. But you want to make sure you don't lose the people, or the people that have been there don't lose out. Do you think that's been done quite well?
Yeah,
in
I think they've
Walthamstow,
done. I
or?
think they've definitely got a good mix over there in Walthamstow, because you've still got the heart of things like, you know, the market, which is the longest market in the whole of Europe, open market in the whole of Europe, and that's still something that's prominent about the area, that everyone knows when they go there, they can go to the market, etc. Local businesses, I don't think have been affected too much. I think if anything, it's helped bolster a lot of new businesses. So I think it's been very positive from that aspect. And yeah, things are a bit more plush and a bit more new, which is definitely good for the next generation that are coming through compared to my time when I was there.
Yeah.
There's more opportunities. There's just more things to do now. So
And then how about opportunities for like black boys.
Yeah.
So your sons.
Yeah.
Right now, how do you think they're experiencing East London compared to how you experience in East London? Like better, worse, like with all sorts, police, education.
It's a difficult question again because time changes in different periods of time. But I do think they're having a positive impact. I think East London's had a positive impact on them, and I think they've enjoyed their experiences growing up in East London. Like I said, both my boys, they go to private school, which is in East London, like Nesbrook, and it's a good school, good private school, and I think they enjoy their experiences there. And outside of that, just like within the community, the stuff that's available to them, I think they utilise, they make the most of. My son, my youngest one, enjoys swimming, so he uses the Better Leisure Centre. They've got a nice swimming pool there, and that's what we usually.
Is that the opposite the YMCA or next to the YMCA?
Not the one next to the YMCA, no. It's closer to Monarchs College.
Okay, yeah.
That one, yeah. And it's called the Better Leisure Centre. And yeah, so they've got stuff there. My eldest son, he does volleyball for England. So
and just to clarify, the national England team, yeah. That's a big look.
At 15 years old, so
yeah,
he's doing his thing, and he's doing GCSEs at the same time. So he's marrying both of those things.
A year early, is that right then?
No, not a year early. He's doing his GCSEs now, like in the summertime. He's 15 at the moment.
Okay.
But he'll be 16 in August.
Okay, cool.
And but he's doing his GCSEs, like revising and all that sort of stuff at the moment. But at the same time competing for England, so he's having to marry the two together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they've all had a positive experience in Walthamstow, East London.
Nice.
And I couldn't really say they've had a negative experience.
Yeah. And
even before then, like Malachi, he used to play football for like the local football academy in Walthamstow. And it's a nice community. It's a really nice community. I love Walthamstow.
Good stuff. You mentioned your work in financial services.
Yeah.
The stats show for black boys, it's not typical for people like you to be in positions like that. Could we just talk about your journey into that world? How's it been? Was there ever any imposter syndrome, that kind of thing, or?
Maybe there was, and I think that could have been validated by the fact that what I studied at university was not what I've ended up working in that particular field, which is the financial field, whilst what I studied was something totally more creative. So from that perspective, knowing when you're in a job like that now, when you haven't gone down the traditional route that everyone else has gone through, you may get that imposter syndrome because you may feel like, this isn't me, I'm not supposed to be here, you know what I'm saying? But when I got an opportunity, I took my opportunity with both hands, and I made the best of it, and it's helped basically putting both of my children into private school education, and they're flourishing as well at this moment in time. So that's been a positive. But in terms of like getting the opportunity, sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time. Like I said, it wasn't something that was natural to me to work in the financial services, but when the opportunity came and people looked at the CV and what I'd done, then it's down also to your charisma and your personality when you go there on the day to make the job yours, and that's something that I was able to do. And then I'm a quick learner as well, so be able to pick up something new and then make it work for you.
Yeah. I think it's starting to rain here, isn't it? Yeah. We might have to cut that short, but thank you so much. That was really interesting. We might pick it up later, but yeah, it's actually beginning to rain. We have to make our way. Safe, man?
No problem.
No, that was really good.